Hi there, it's Celeste with the Arachne Project, and I'm here today to do another energy check-in. Those of you who have been here before to my channel, you know that I'm a writing coach, and I work with writers to help create more flow in their lives. And one of the reasons that I do these readings is to check in on your creative life, to see what energies are surrounding your creative flow. And those energies can have a lot to do with writing itself. We can have a lot of resistance in the writing process. We can be sort of out of alignment with our creativity as writers. And also, we can have issues in our daily lives that have nothing to do with writing that do affect our writing. So I like to have a look at that as a whole. So if you are a writer, and you love tarot, this channel may be for you. But if you're not a writer, it's okay to hang around too, because writing is just one area of creativity, and a lot of us are creative in other ways, and so it's not limited to writing. So if I talk about the creative process, it's just in terms of writing, because that's my main source of creativity, my main expression of creativity. But this could apply to you if you're an artist of some other kind, or if you're just a creator or a maker and you enjoy that process in another way. So, feel free to switch up the energies, to change my language to suit whatever it is that you like to do. I'm going to just check in on the collective today. It is 11:11, but I'm not going to do a special reading today because I didn't plan one. But if you are celebrating the 11:11 portal, this is a very good time to be leaning into your light energies. And it's a good time to be noticing where you're in alignment. What are you drawing into your life? What are you in alignment with? Whatever's showing up in your outer world is a manifestation of your inner alignment. So it's a good time to have a look at that and kind of count your blessings and see what good you're aligned with. And if everything isn't kind of as you want it to be, it's a good time to notice what you need to surrender. So that's how I'll be working with the 11:11 energy today. This has been a hard year for a lot of people. A lot of creatives have been able to lean into this time and create more and be more active. And others have been really stuck because they've had to face their fears, and fear is definitely a big thing that blocks up creatives. So anyway, so what's going on in the collective? I want to look, first I want to look at usually I try to tune in on one specific energy. I'm going to do a more general reading where we're talking about a larger group of people and what is going on in the collective for them. So usually I'm trying to tune into a very specific story, and I want to go a little more general today because of the 11:11 energy. Because I think it's important that we as creatives understand that we are part of a collective that creates energies for others and ourselves. We're not just at the whim of this universe. We are creating the energies that we're dealing with. So if there's a lot of resistance in the general collective, that's because we're creating that. We're participating in creating it. So let's look at that. And choose. Actually, you know what? They're telling me they want me to grab a different deck. I'm going to grab an oracle deck. I'll be right back. All right, let's pull an oracle card for what's going on in the general collective. All right. Oh, soulmates. Oh. This is perfect for 11:11, actually. I said I wasn't going to do an 11:11 reading, but that is some of the energy of soulmates. When we are with our soulmates, so let's talk about this. When we're with our soulmates, when we're with the people whose souls are aligned in the same way that ours are, when we're resonating with somebody in a really beautiful way, our creativity is given a boost. And when we're with people who sort of challenge us, so soulmates can challenge you, first of all, but my belief about soulmates is that a soulmate is somebody who you just have this feeling of being totally, it's not necessarily an easy relationship, don't make it about that, but there is an ease to the relationship where you always feel drawn to one another. You always feel at home with one another. You always feel safe. Even to deal with things that feel unsafe, you feel like you can step up to those challenges together. So when I'm talking about soulmates, I'm talking about that. I do believe there are different types of kind of soul family. And in love readings, we get into those different types of soul readings sometimes where we talk about karmic relationships. Those are the really difficult ones where we're learning from each other. So I want to pull one more about the soulmate energy. But this reading is going to be about your soul family. It's going to be about the people that you surround yourself with and how they make your creative life better. And how we as a collective community can make each other's lives as creatives more beautiful or more difficult, depending on how we choose to interact with one another. Chop wood. Oh, okay. Oh. Let's see. Does it want... I'm asking Spirit whether I should take this in the reverse energy or not. And they are saying no. All right, so chop wood is about attending to the practical. It's about doing your work is what it's really about. It's about showing up for your own practical application of your spiritual work. So sometimes when we talk about being spiritual, we get like all caught up in like, oh, meditation and higher purpose and divine connection. It becomes very aligned with the upper three chakras. And then when you get into those upper three chakras and you're not really grounded, you have this sort of floaty, like ungrounded energy. And this is about grounding these relationships. So chop wood is about being very grounded. That's the lower three chakras. That's our root chakra, our sacral chakra, and our solar plexus, the seat of our empowerment. So what this reading is going to be talking about is how do we ground these relationships that feel so connected on the divine level? How do we ground them in reality? And how do we work together on this plane, on the physical plane, to be creative and to kind of nail our spiritual journey as creatives together. I love the together part. All right, let's see. All right, now I'm going to go back to the Light Seers Tarot. Okay, so give me some cards. Let's talk about what's going on in this collective. What's been difficult in this collective? Let's look at what's been difficult about this journey of connecting with soul family. You want the right cards, not sometimes the right one jumps out and sometimes it just falls out, and that's not what we're going for. All right, the Emperor. Okay. There's something here about the divine masculine in the collective. Can't do a soulmates reading without talking about the divine masculine. So we talk about the toxic masculine, when we talk about the patriarchy, and the divine masculine is the empowered, very grounded, very beautiful energy of a man who is in his power, who's shed the kind of distorted beliefs about what it is to be a man. And it's about, and for women and other people who don't identify as men, we all have this inside of ourselves. We have this kind of belief. We also have this belief about what it is to be a man. And so this is like not waiting. We're not waiting anymore. Like, it's here. We're starting to see it manifest. Okay. We're starting to see it manifest. But there's still this energy that has to do with our masculine energy. Okay, and masculine energy in the spiritual sense, we talked about it in terms of people, and in the spiritual sense, masculine energy is the chopwood energy. That's the energy that does, that acts, that is. And of course, women and other people have that energy within them. Everybody has this energy within them. So we're not waiting anymore. We're in this place of it's here, and it's time for us to own it. It's time for us to start walking our talk in all ways. It's time for us all to start showing up and honoring this masculine energy that's within us all. It's time for us to start honoring that in the collective and stop our focus on the disappointments and the heartbreaks. Because when we're focusing on the disappointments and the heartbreaks, we're drawing more attention to those things. And in a sense, we're actually creating more of that. We're certainly drawing it into our own experience the more we notice something negative. So this is about owning the now, the work that we have to do right now. External forces. Let's look at some. What are we feeling externally that is kind of weighing on us and giving us a challenge to doing our own personal work? Okay, there's that balance. The balance has been off for a very, very long time. Sometimes it's all we've ever known. It has been slow to build this foundation that we've been trying to build, where we're healing the masculine energy and also healing the feminine energy. When we're healing one, we're healing the other. They're not separate. They're part of everybody. And this is about, there's been something very slow moving about this, but it's solid. Okay, we've created a solid backdrop for the work that we're doing, the work, and for the relationships that we have. There are people showing up to this who are steadfast in their work. And this night, like when I say steadfast, so it's constant, it's day after day showing up to the work that needs to be done. This is not this is not like an angry energy. There can be anger there, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with anger. There are times when anger is appropriate. There are ways to express it in the moment that make sense. But this Knight of Pentacles, this masculine, grounded knight, is about our efforts, the way that we show up day after day after day to create this understanding of this reclaiming of the masculine energy in its light, to take it out of its shadows and into the light. And here, this reversed King of Pentacles, this is resistance on the whole so Spirit is saying to me the like screams of patriarchy, of the patriarchy. Yeah, so we're going to get into the patriarchy today. They're saying that. This is about, so the King of Pentacles in his upright, this is a very empowered man. And in his reverse, he's stubborn. The King of Earth, okay? He is stubborn. He can be very rigid in the way that he does things. Cut off from his feelings, even. It's an external energy. So that's still there in the collective. We know this, right? It's not a surprise to anybody. And this is all the things that we haven't said. This is where there's still work to be done in the shadows. So the moon, this would be like secrets. It's not secrets. It's work that is still being done in the shadows. Okay, so this is like, I'm getting the work that people are doing on themselves, that other people are doing on themselves that we can't see. So sometimes people go through this intense period of growth and they don't tell anybody about it, right? But when they emerge from the darkness, they're a whole different person. And I think there's a lot of this going on in the collective. I think that's what this is saying. That's what I'm hearing with this. So yeah. There's something here about honoring, because we're talking about relationships, there's something here about honoring people's need to move slowly sometimes when we want to be like a firebrand. We want things to move quickly. We want it now. We're impatient. And we are resistant to other people's resistance. And ultimately, we can't change other people's need to move slowly when they're moving slowly. And we can't we can't get rid of the toxic masculine energy with more toxic masculinity. This is about our need to allow others to process in their own time, to go through their own journey of getting where they need to be on this topic, which is very, very difficult. It's been very difficult. But what I like about this reading is there's something really solid about it. There's something very, very solid about the way that a lot of people are showing up in the collective here for this lesson. We have the chopped wood, we have the Emperor, we have the Knight of Pentacles. So many reversals, so much resistance, so much holding back. There's so much to heal, and yet we have this beautiful Soulmates card, this chopped wood energy of we need to do the work. We need to show up to the work. And if we're writers, ultimately that work is writing, right? Ultimately that work is writing. And writing can sometimes, and other forms of art as well, writing is often done in silence, right? So kind of when we talk about our writing too much, it tends to take the air out of our sails. It takes the energy out of what it is we're trying to create inside that little bubble of resistance and growth that we're experiencing with our writing. We talk too much about it. It's like venting a pot and letting too much air out of it so it stops boiling, right? You needed it to stay on simmer and you took the lid off too soon, right? So that's kind of what I'm seeing here is our need to keep writing and to allow this process to do its thing but also to transform us individually. Let other people have their journey. It's not always pretty, right? Other people sometimes can't grow fast enough for us, but sometimes they're working on it, you know? And we can really set them back by hurrying them or trying to make them talk about it before they're ready. Oh, you can probably hear. What is it about every time I sit down to do a reading, somebody's mowing the lawn or blowing leaves or whatever right outside my window? Right, I'm going to stop the reading. I'll come back. All right, I'm back. Sorry about that. I didn't know how long it was going to be. It only was a minute or two, but I'm going to pull some more cards now. Let's talk about what strengths we can bring to this. What are the inner strengths that we can lean on as the collective goes through this change, this very necessary change, where individuals are coming together with like minds and like hearts to heal the damage that's been done by years and years of distorted templates of being. All right. Yeah, working together. Working together. When we're coming together to do our craft, not staying in our silos, right? Like getting out and like actually talking with other people when we feel ready to work, to chop wood. Because it's very easy to not do that work, right? It's very easy sometimes as a writer to shut yourself in your little bubble and just make and create from there. There has to be a kind of coming out, working with others, and then going back in. And this is about ending that cycle of back and forth within ourselves. Like we know it's time for an ending, and we know that we have to do things differently. And so like there's a act of balancing that's going on with people where we're coming out and kind of peeking and seeing what's going on and then figuring out how we feel about that and how we want to move on. Yeah. This is people offering. Okay, this is that slow, steady foundation that is being built is really a foundation for love. And so I feel like this relationship can also be, like I'm talking about your soul family in the collective, but this could also be about a very specific creative relationship that you have with somebody, like a best friend type energy, or even a partner, like a domestic partner, where you work together creatively. It's really beautiful. Maybe you want that, or maybe you've been wanting that and it's finally happening for you. And you're really excited about it. This could also just be creating partnerships that, are aligned. Creative partnerships that are aligned. Finding the right people to help you work on your craft with you. The right people to help you take it to the next level. The right people to help you grow in the way that you need and want to grow. When that change is brought in with love, the expression of the changes becomes less painful in the end. Can still be quite painful to change, to admit that you were wrong, or to admit that you don't know enough about something. But when that when you're met with love, it changes the way that you can express yourself about it. All right, and the Wheel of Fortune, this is about time. Again, this is something about this reading that says the time, like this is happening now, but it's not done yet. There's something still happening, and we have to be patient. We have to trust the wheel of time. We have to trust that change is not always as we want it overnight. Trusting the process. Okay, and there's something here about no longer allowing ourselves to be impulsive with our tempers, impulsive with our with the expression of our creative passions. We're going to be more thoughtful about those things. This is like, so like, I'm seeing Page of Wands. I'm being told that's reactivity versus in the reverse, that what we have here is the energy of responding versus reacting, that there's a huge difference. And the responding rather than reacting is what gives us this energy of two people meeting and sharing what's in their hearts with each other to create the foundation that brings people together and creates higher love. Anything else, Spirit? What do we need to watch out for? What's in our blind spot? Things that we need to be aware of so that we don't trip over them. Again, this tendency to want to ride in to a situation, like when your temper flares and you feel that like hot-headedness, that anger, sleep on it. Go ahead, you can journal it. You can write the post if you want, and then sleep on it and come back to it with fresh eyes. You might still say what you wanted to say. You might change some words. You might decide you don't want to share it at all. You might decide it's not improving the conversation, or you might decide that it is improving the conversation, and come back to edit it. Usually when we just dash something off in the moment, the reason I say that is because it's a Knight of Wands, and you see the fire coming out of his armor, and wands they're the fire suit. So there's something here about allowing kind of our unbridled passions, our passionate beliefs in something to make us reactive rather than responsive. So that's a pitfall. It's coming out in the pitfall situation. So it's saying beware of that, be careful of that. It's not saying don't speak up for yourself. It's saying be aware of the tendency to react rather than respond. Because responsiveness is what brings us this beautiful coming together, this soulmate energy where we can work together to get things done. More pitfalls. Okay, lack of commitment to doing the work. And this is the earthly work, the chop wood work. Are you actually writing? The tendency to get caught up in the big picture and to not do your writing. To not even show up for your own creative process. To not get down to business with others. Okay, this is getting down to business with others. This is understanding that we are co-creating the world that we want to live in. We co-create, if we're writers, we co-create our stories. We agree to work with all sorts of professionals to make our stories a reality. And so this is a warning that work is serious. It's fun at its best, and I think that we should all enjoy it personally. Not everybody thinks that. Some people think work is work and you just show up and do it anyway. But this is a warning to not taking it seriously and not understanding that what gets us from one point to the other is paying attention to the groundedness of the process, the tasks that bring us to the goal that we want. You know, a book doesn't just happen. A short story doesn't just happen. It happens through a series of grounded actions. And this is about showing up to do those things. Are you showing up to your writing practice? It's NaNoWriMo. Are you writing every day? And you don't have to. I mean, I'm not saying that you have to write every day, because I certainly don't. But are you writing regularly? That's a better question. Are you writing regularly? Are you showing up when you say you will? Are you futzing around on the internet when you should be writing? If you're doing that, like, put your phone out of your writing room if you do that. Take your computer offline. Again, here's that passion. That's in the strength mode, okay? No, it's not. This is in the warnings. Yeah, we're really being warned here to watch out for... Passion's a good thing, right? We usually think of it as a really good thing, but how often has it gotten you in trouble? Have you said things that you regret? There's also an ungroundedness to this energy where it can be like related to the Page of Pentacles here, not doing the work, like playing around. Okay, there could be this energy of being a little bit of a dilettante where you're like, I love to do all the things. And I totally get this energy because I have my hands in a lot of creative things all the time, and I have to really discipline myself. So there's something here about discipline and not allowing all your shiny little ideas. This wand here is a shiny idea. It's like poof out of this cloud. Here's a shiny idea. Not going for it. Don't let that stop you from your bigger vision here, which is, creating this thing that you want to create. What are some possible pitfalls to watch out for? Oh, another thing they're telling me here. So wands is not typically ideas, it's typically your passion. But sometimes we get very excited about our new ideas. And like I said, the shiny object syndrome. So that's what they're telling me is like watching out for anything really. So you might start building a story around this new thing that's coming in, like, oh, it's going to be the greatest thing. And so you just move from thing to thing to thing, because you just have a never-ending stream of shiny ideas, and then nothing manifests because you're not putting in the work to one thing. You're spreading yourself too thin. Okay, and this is about dropping the burden, but it's in the challenging sphere. So we usually think of it as a good thing to drop burdens, right? But this is not a burden that we should be dropping. It's just a burden that we need to watch how we show up to. It's a burden that we need to work through as a collective. So you have to be careful that we don't just, because it feels comfortable to give up and it feels comfortable to, stay in our silo and create all alone and not care what anyone else thinks. We have to be mindful. Not that there isn't a time for that. That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying here is that there is a time for understanding that the burden of this thing that we want to create is on us. It is on us to keep showing up. So when you're tired, this is that feeling of being just tired and just, it's so heavy, you know, I just want to put it down. And they're saying rest when you need to, but we're not giving up here, right? We're not giving up. All right, so I'm going to pull some guidance cards. We are in a waning moon. We got a new moon coming up soon. So during the waning moon, I like to pull some cards about release. What do we need to release, Spirit? In the collective. What do some of my watchers need to release in the collective? Surrender to Spirit. Again, this is about allowing Spirit to work its magic. It says right here, let Spirit work its magic for you. It's about allowing, you put in the daily work, you do your work. Your work is not trying to make somebody else something they're not. Your work is making your little corner of the world a better place so that the people that you share it with have a great place to be. And allowing that to continue to inspire other people. Surrender the idea that you can fix someone, okay? We can't fix people who aren't on board with this problem. This whole, you know, people who don't feel like there is a collective. People who are like staunch individualists. I tend to think that it's both. There's the collective and the individual, and the individuals make up the collective, and we make up millions of little collectives within the collective, the big collective. And we have to stop this with this idea thinking that we can force somebody else to change when all we can really do is work on our little corner of the world on a daily basis. That does not mean, again, doesn't mean that you can't participate in politics. I know that's very important to a lot of people. And I know that a lot of people feel very called to do that. And you absolutely should follow your own guidance. But this is about not neglecting, not putting all of your energy into changing other people. Make sure that your energy is directed. If you're a writer, make sure that your energy is directed at your writing. Like if you consider yourself a writer in your soul, let your writing speak for itself. Let your writing be part of your ministry, right? Never underestimate the power of your writing to touch somebody and to impact them in a huge way. If you go at it with the idea that your writing is going to change people's lives, that's the wrong way to go about it. Your writing is an offering. You offer it, you do your work, and you offer it. And it might help someone. And it probably will help somebody. It probably will give people enjoyment. But going into it with the intention that it's going to fix a problem is really, it's forceful. And people are less likely to, I shouldn't say that, people will like it still that resonate with it. But other people will feel the force is what I'm saying, and they'll be turned off by it. All right, surrender defensiveness. Okay, so wow, so this reading has been kind of in your face, right? So when we're defending against other people, we're not engaging with those people on a soul level. We're not engaging with them as part of our soul collective. The more defensive that we are to people, the more that indicates that we believe in an us against them sort of mentality. And this can actually have a lot to do with not necessarily enemies, but sort of people who could be part of your, you know, your smaller collective, part of your soul family. When we're defensive against people, that's believing more in our separation than in our togetherness, right? The act of defending, and I'm not, again, not saying it's not necessary to defend yourself and protect yourself sometimes. Absolutely is when you're under attack. But sometimes we see things as an attack that aren't really, they're not really an attack. And we have to allow ourselves to not separate ourselves from people just because they see things a little differently. Not the same thing as somebody who's actively trying to hurt you, right? Defensiveness is a sign that we feel separate. It's not a sign of union. And the 1111 portal is about union with self first and with others second. And the more we can get on that plane, the more we can tip the scales of the entire collective. All right, what is some guidance for us, Spirit? This is really, there's something beautiful about this reading, and there's something heavy about it. And if you can feel that, I want to give you something light to lean into, to end with. I like to end with the light, because whenever the darkness comes, the light's coming too, okay? The light's coming after the darkness, or before the darkness, or after the darkness, however you want to look at it. Show the world the real you. It takes a lot of courage to show up in the world as someone who trusts in themselves, who trusts in the collective ability to choose their own light aspects from their dark aspects. You know, you're never going to get rid of your dark aspects. I don't think we're ever going to get rid of toxic masculinity, but we want, in this reading, what we were talking about earlier was building this foundation where men can show up in their most empowered, most strong sense of self, and where women can honor these parts of themselves as well. It's like healing our masculine wounds as a collective. So showing the world the real you is, you know, doing that work. Acknowledging that's there. This card's always a little uncomfortable, right? The Void of Course moon is a moon that has, like, there's no real energy to it. It's sort of, it's void energy is what it is. It's actually the ultimate integration energy. It's the 0 point, where you understand that life is in balance and that we're always just leaning one way or the other. And I think that what this card is saying is that we have to trust our ability to work with that energy. So whenever we think something is like flared our temper, what it's saying to me right now is that when something has sort of flared our temper and we're like wanting to react, we're wanting to come out as this guy, you know, we're wanting to go big with our reaction to let people know that we're not cool with this. And then kind of whip everybody else up into a frenzy too. That what makes us do that is actually fear. And we have to trust that we can disapprove of something without this whole part, and we can act in ways, in grounded ways, grounded, responsive ways, where we're showing up to do our work. And we can trust that not everything that happens in the collective that we see on social media is going to grow legs and become a big problem. Like, it's really hard to keep up sometimes, right? And sometimes like you know it's a problem, but you know what to do. You know, sometimes you have to, you know, make the phone call, or sometimes you have to vote vote for something. You have to show up to talking to other people when it's uncomfortable. But just because something seems dark does not necessarily mean that it's growing legs and going to run away with this, you know, the situation's going to run away from us. You have to trust, right? Trust in that new beginning. Trust that the new start that we have worked on so hard is coming. Just because it's coming a little slower than we might like to see doesn't mean it's not coming, right? We don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater. There's a lot in this reading about union. There's a lot about relaxing when the energy becomes, you know, sort of frenetic. And there's something about just trusting that we're all in this together. A couple more cards. A couple more guidance cards. Truth. Purity. Embracing. Embracing each other. Embracing ourselves first. Each other. One-to-one, on a one-to-one basis. Sit with these words in the next few days or whenever you're watching this. And these could be really great journal prompts for you. Pick one of these words or all three of them and just journal about what truth means to you. What is purity to you? What is purity? What does it mean in our interactions with others? All right. I want you guys to have a great day, and I'll be back in a few days for a new moon reading. Okay, the new moon I think is on the 15th, which is in a few days. Hope you guys all have a great week. Talk to you later. Bye.